There are moments in life when everything changes in a single heartbeat, moments that pierce through the softness of ordinary days and leave behind a scar, shaped exactly like the person who walked away. This story begins with one such moment, the moment Daniel realized the girl he loved more than his own life had chosen fame over their quiet, simple world. It happened on a cold evening when she stood before him, trembling, eyes glistening, with heartbreak and ambition tangled together, and told him she was leaving, not because she stopped loving him, but because she believed her dreams were too big for the small town they lived in and too big for him. Her name was Elena, and she walked away. But what she didn't know was that Daniel would spend the next years loving her with the same quiet, unwavering devotion, even when the world changed her, even when she forgot who she used to be, even when she rose so high that she could no longer see where she came from. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of true love, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach more hearts like yours. Daniel and Elena grew up in a small coastal town where the air smelled of ocean salt and warm bread, where the nights were calm and the stars dared to shine brighter than city lights. Their connection had always been gentle, the kind that formed naturally, without force, without noise, like two pieces of a story that simply understood they belonged together. Daniel was steady, dependable, and content with life's simple pleasures. Elena, on the other hand, carried a spark in her eyes that spoke of a world beyond their shores. She dreamed of stages, lights, applause, and becoming a name people whispered with admiration. She wasn't selfish. She was simply hungry for a life she believed destiny owed her. And Daniel, knowing how much her dreams meant to her, never once held her back, even when it hurt. When Elena finally left for the city, the silence she left behind clung to Daniel like a fog. Days turned into weeks, and weeks blurred into months. But he held on to every memory with fragile tenderness. He followed her rising career from afar, the auditions she won, the shows she appeared in, the growing attention she started receiving. Each time her name appeared somewhere, he felt both pride and a small tremor of loss. The girl he once held close was becoming someone the world adored. And though she rarely returned his calls or messages, he never stopped wishing her well. He never blamed her. Not once. Life in the city changed Elena faster than she could understand. She began with small performances, late nights, cheap apartments, and endless struggle. The industry was ruthless, filled with bright promises that turned into shadows overnight. But Elena didn't back down. She worked harder than she had ever worked in her life. Every rejection burned, every criticism cut deep, but she refused to return home defeated. Her determination slowly carved her a place in a world that barely noticed her existence before. Opportunities blossomed, and she grabbed them, not realizing that, with each step up, she was shedding pieces of the girl Daniel once knew, pieces she would one day wish she still had. As Elena started gaining recognition, she also began attracting people whose affection depended on her success, not her soul. The pressures grew, the expectations mounted, and soon she found herself molded into someone she hardly recognized. Her smile became practiced, her heart guarded, her laughter expensive. The kindness she once wore so effortlessly began to fade under layers of stress, insecurity, and the demand to always be perfect. But Daniel, he remembered her exactly as she used to be. And he held on to that memory, even when she no longer did. Years passed, and the distance between them widened. Elena became a rising star, appearing in commercials, performing in shows, attending events with people who lived entirely different realities. She was adored, praised, photographed, and celebrated. But with every spotlight that touched her, a part of her felt strangely hollow. The dreams she chased came true, but they came with a price, one she didn't fully understand until life forced her to. One evening, during a major event that was supposed to be a milestone in her career, something inside Elena snapped. Surrounded by glamorous faces and polite laughter, she felt an aching emptiness she couldn't ignore. She excused herself, stepped outside, and let the cold night air hit her face. In that moment, she realized she had everything: fame, money, success, except peace. She had climbed so high that she couldn't even remember the last time someone had loved her without wanting anything in return. The realization stung hard. That same night, she scrolled through her old messages, photographs, and memories. Pictures of Daniel smiling under the afternoon sun, letters he wrote her when she first moved away, promises she had made but forgotten. Suddenly, tears she hadn't allowed herself to shed for years came rushing down like a storm. She had left him for fame, believing the world could replace the simple warmth of their love. But now she wasn't so sure. Meanwhile, Daniel's life remained simple, though far from empty. He worked hard, helped neighbors, supported his family, and carried Elena's memory quietly in his heart. He didn't live waiting for her. He simply lived with love that never turned bitter. He believed that even if she never returned, what they shared was still meaningful, and that was enough. But deep inside, a small part of him always wondered whether she would ever come back, even for a moment. Months later, Elena returned to town for the first time in years. She didn't announce it publicly. She didn't tell anyone. She just showed up one afternoon, wearing oversized sunglasses and a trembling heart. Walking through the familiar streets felt surreal. The bakery still smelled the same. The sea breeze still carried the same gentle chill, and Daniel's home still had the same warm glow. When she saw him, older, calmer, kinder than ever, her breath caught. He was sitting on the porch, fixing something with quiet concentration. Time had changed him, but it had made him bare, softer, stronger. He lifted his eyes and froze. In that moment, years, pain, distance, and unspoken words collided in the space between them. Her fame meant nothing. His love meant everything. Elena broke down, confessing every mistake, every regret, every moment she wished she could redo. She expected anger. She expected disappointment. But Daniel, with the same gentle heart he always had, simply listened. Not because he was weak, but because love had taught him patience she couldn't comprehend. He didn't embrace her right away. He didn't rush forgiveness, but he didn't close the door either. Over the next days, they spoke about everything. The past, the choices, the failures, the ways they changed. Elena apologized more times than she could count, and Daniel allowed himself to feel the old wounds, to acknowledge the hurt. But even through the pain, something familiar flickered between them, something that felt like home. Elena admitted she didn't want to return to the city the same way she left. She wanted to rebuild herself, rediscover the girl she used to be. Remember what truly mattered. And Daniel didn't promise her forever, but he promised her a chance to heal. A chance to grow, a chance to love again when the time was right. And for the first time in years, Elena felt something she never felt in fame: peace. Slowly, day by day, she began undoing the layers the world had forced upon her. She took walks by the ocean, helped her mother reconnect with old friends, volunteered at community events, and allowed herself to breathe without the weight of expectation. And Daniel, without pressure or demands, simply stood beside her as a quiet reminder that love was never a race, never competition, just a shared journey. Months later, when she felt ready, she returned to the industry with a new sense of purpose. Not to chase fame, not to prove anything, but to do what she loved with authenticity and heart. She set boundaries, kept real friends close, and stayed connected to the place and the man who had grounded her when she was lost. Their relationship didn't magically restore overnight. Real healing takes time. But piece by piece, they rebuilt something more mature, more honest, more resilient. And one evening, as they watched the sun sink into the sea the same way they used to when they were young, Elena finally understood that love wasn't something she lost. It was something she had to grow up to deserve. If this story touched your heart, or reminded you of the power of true love and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly encourages us to keep creating emotional stories for you. Before the ending, please comment below. Love always finds its way. In the end, Elena didn't just rediscover Daniel. She rediscovered herself, the version of her that fame had buried, the version Daniel had loved even when the world didn't. And with time, patience, forgiveness, and maturity, they built a love that fame could never replace, and life could never break again. The world might remember Elena as a star, but Daniel would always remember her as the girl who found her way back. Not because she failed, but because she finally understood what truly mattered. And sometimes that kind of return is worth more than all the applause in the world.